communication is so important. Like, let's not come into these situations and think we know exactly what people need and what people want, but rather to have that conversation and say, like, how can we help you in doing what you're already doing, and just work together on the ground like that. So that for me has been like the biggest takeaway from this whole thing.
Welcome to the Socality show, everybody. We're so excited for today and our guest, Dan Carter. We actually chatted with Dan earlier in the day, and we had a great conversation. He's coming live to us today from South Africa, and we had quite a conversation, and so I'm really looking forward to chatting with him. Zach, and now you look like Casper, the ghost. There you are. I can see you. You can't hear me.
Wow,
welcome.
Here we are. Look at that. We did it.
We're back.
Folks. The cameras work. Can you believe it?
You know what I've learned? There is no technical difficulty that you can't overcome.
There's no technical difficulty I can't overcome.
I also realized my jacket today kind of matches the logo on the set. I didn't do that on purpose.
It does. You did that on purpose.
You're definitely more jungly today. Like,
yeah.
Did you get lost in the woods or something?
I listened to Welcome to the Jungle by Novo Amor. If you've ever heard, Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses?
Okay, yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know what world you're living on, but Welcome to the Jungle is by Guns N' Roses. But
yeah, apparently it is. But there's this guy, Novo Amor, who makes like peaceful music.
Yeah, I love Novo Amor. I always use him on my Instagram Reels.
Yes, he's good walking to the lake Reels music.
He's very good walking to the lake music.
Yeah, and then he actually covered Welcome to the Jungle and made it like this peaceful song. And I just thought it was a peaceful thing because it's obviously not a peaceful song the first time around.
And now I'm confused because I thought it was a band, but it's one person.
No, yeah, Novo Amor is one guy named Ali. He's from.
Why would Ali name himself Nova Amor?
Novo Amor. I think it means new love or something in Italian. It's a good vibe. I don't know.
New love in the jungle. Well, yes. So obviously you are channeling Nova Amor and you're in the jungle. We have a great guest today, Dan Carter. I'm excited, and a great audience with us. So welcome everybody. Zach, last time we chatted, we talked about these chickens that you've got in your backyard.
Yeah, we got chickens. They're actually very happy with me right now. I had a few friends over to watch. Don't judge me. It's a little basic, but I'm not hiding from it. I was watching the Mayweather-Logan Paul fight.
All right. You paid for that.
Somebody else paid for it.
Okay.
I did not.
RJ?
And, hey, I'm not naming names. Whatever. We watched the fight. It was okay. It was fine. We had a good time. Yeah. But of course, if you're going to have a bunch of friends over and you're going to watch a fight, you're going to have a few snacks, right?
Of course.
And I have one friend in particular, Tyler. Every time I spend a little time with Tyler, we end up making way more nachos than we actually need because we just get so excited. We get so ahead of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we ended up with more than we could eat and more than we could use as leftovers.
I know where this is going.
So I fed an entire tray of nachos to the chickens, and they were so fired up, dude. I've never seen
nachos.
They do. I've never seen a chicken run so fast, bro. I came out there, I had the little tray and everything. I was like, "What's up, girls? I got some nachos."
You should have put the game on or the fight on for them.
I should have.
Why didn't you just bring the chickens in?
I should have brought the chickens in to watch them.
I don't understand it. Like, you left them out. You could have brought them in. They could have joined in and ate with you.
Scott, this is hard for me because I thought I was a good guy for feeding them nachos, and now I'm a bad guy for not watching the fight with them.
Exactly. But I want to know about these nachos. Did they have, because some people put like the jalapenos and the cheese and what was on these nachos? I want to make sure the chickens were okay.
Fortunately, there wasn't chicken on them.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that's
problematic.
That would be, yeah, that's downright wrong.
No, there was chips, there was cheese, there was peppers.
Peppers? What kind of peppers? Like banana peppers?
Like, no, we're talking like red, yellow, green, bell peppers.
Oh, bell peppers. Yeah,
bell peppers.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I Googled it.
Apparently, was there beef though? Was there beef?
Yeah.
Do you think when they were eating the nachos, they were like, tastes like chicken?
Bro, I Googled it. Eat anything. Google says chickens can eat chicken, and it was like,
that's weird.
That was not within like my moral comfort zone.
But that is wrong. I think someone could call the police on you for that. I don't know.
Yahoo Answers says it's fine. But
Yahoo answer. Is that Ask Jeeves? Yahoo answer?
fortunately, my moral compass is not determined by Ask Jeeves. So I did.
Is Jeeves still around?
He must be.
What's Jeeves up to?
Maybe Jeeves got a great pension from answering all those questions so faithfully for so long.
Yeah. He was just, I never really answered. He was just like a robot guy, a butler guy.
Yeah.
And it was never really giving me the answer I wanted. But
Scott, have you ever Googled something and then found out that the answer that you took from the internet was just completely wrong and you were led astray?
I don't know, but I go to Wikipedia a lot, and I just wonder if that's how most young people are getting their information, just like Wikipedia.
I remember the early days of Wikipedia, it was a lot easier to edit it. And I had this class assignment and we were given 5 different historical events and you had to write a paper on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I edited the Wikipedia page of the other 4 so that everyone had these just like horribly wrong stories.
Right.
And it totally.
You're the reason so many people failed.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the reason that the teachers say you're not allowed to use Wikipedia anymore because some guy can just go put false information and say that.
Can you not do that anymore? You can't edit on Wikipedia?
Oh, you have to like apply for the edits. But I think they said like Lenin worked as like the communist political figure, like worked as a clown in a traveling circus. And I just made up like all these outlandish stories and people are just like presenting this to the class and the teacher's getting so choked.
That is amazing.
It was a good time.
Well, we could talk all day about feeding chickens nachos and Wikipedia and everything, but I'm excited for our guest, Dan. But before we get into Dan, talk to us, Zach, how people can engage with the show today.
Yeah, so you can use the chat. A lot of you have found that already. Just a reminder, if you want the other attendees to see what you're saying, set your chats to panelists and attendees. Otherwise, it goes to just Scott and I. And we love hearing what you have to say, but I think there's a few other people who would also love to hear what you have to say. And if you have a question for Dan during the show, this is going to be a really cool, engaging conversation. And if there's something you're wondering, use the Q&A function and we'll get to as many of those as we can as we go. It's on the bottom of your screen if you are on a laptop, or you can swipe to the right if you're on a phone or an iPad, any other mobile device. We are really looking forward to having this conversation. And at the end, too, we're going to be sharing our win of the week. Our win of the week is something big or small that you are grateful for or excited about from the past week or so. So it could be getting a new job, finishing up a school assignment, going on a jog and enjoying nature, discovering a new cover of Welcome to the Jungle by Novo Amor. I don't know, whatever it is for you. So start thinking of that. We're going to share them at the end. You can send them in the chat and we will read as many as we can.
And we want to encourage everybody to engage in the chat. And the person, the MVP that is engaging the most and helping bring life and even changing directions to the conversation is going to win the prize from the mystery box. And so we have a great prize at the end. I believe you got the mystery box delivered to you today, Zach, and you were explaining that it is a good one.
It really is. Yeah, the mystery box came by courier. I was not at the studio, so I had to go pick it up from the post office. And
I hate when that happens.
Oh, I know.
That little slip?
You got the slip on the door and you're like, I got to drive 5 minutes. Come on.
Wait in line, show my ID. Yep.
But it was more than worth it. This mystery box is substantial and fantastic. And I'm very excited for the person who's going to take it home.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Well, let's get our guest on here, Dan Carter, all the way live from South Africa. So let me introduce to you Dan, and it's going to be a great show. Dan Carter is a commercial travel and lifestyle photographer, producer, storyteller, and social entrepreneur based out of Cape Town, South Africa. Dan's work captures people and places in a profound and meaningful way, and his distinctive style always offers space for the viewer to pause, ask questions, and look deeper. Dan's creative work has taken him around the world, but his passion for coffee, community, and change led him to launch Common Culture in 2021, a social enterprise initiative merging his passion for coffee and community with the large need for employment and vocational education in South Africa. That is awesome. We are excited to have Dan with us today. So everyone, please welcome Dan Carter to the Socality show. All right, Dan, are you there?
He's coming in. He's coming into a thundering round of applause.
There he is. Round of applause. The studio is going wild. There he is.
The man himself. Dan, welcome to the Socality show.
Oh, we don't have his audio.
There we go.
There he goes, Dan.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I was just enjoying listening to you guys. I actually forgot I was coming on for a moment there.
I think everybody's very grateful you are. They were really ready to move on from the Wikipedia stories. So I'm glad at least one person was enjoying them.
And the
It was awesome.
It is awesome to have you, and so we're so glad to have you. So you were telling me earlier, we're going to get into a great conversation with you, but what is this thing in South Africa where they're turning off your power all the time? What's going on there?
It's a little bit of load shedding. I was just warning you that if all the lights go out, it's nothing to worry about. We just sometimes lose a bit of power, but it's all good. It's under control. We're just saving the planet. So I think we're leading by example. You guys should all follow suit.
Are you leading by example, or do you just not have enough electricity? Which is the truth?
Leading by example. I'm running with that. I'm running with that.
We're saving the planet, guys. We're saving the planet.
Hey,
I love that.
Man, thank you for that. Thank you for that. The planet thanks you. So do the people on it.
So I just hope those lights stay on for the show, but if not, maybe you can just shine your Apple phone in your face.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I've just got inspired. Could you imagine candlelight interviews? That'd be great.
Yeah.
Spicy.
Interviews by candlelight was that
for your next one.
I know.
Wow, Scott, I might branch out into a solo project here. Sorry about
the spin-off series.
Exactly. Now, Dan, you create some absolutely incredible images, and that's actually how I got in touch with you. I'm pretty sure I just saw your work on the Explore page and thought, I need to know this guy because your imagery is very, very stunning and stands out. How long have you been in the photography world? Because your work really, really is excellent. And I think it grabs a lot of people's attention. Tell us how you got introduced to it. How long have you been doing it?
Thank you so much. I've been full-time maybe 5-6 years now. I was busy working as a barista, so that's where my love of coffee came. But most people, they know what they want to do from a really young age. I had no idea. I didn't want to be a photographer. I was chasing that freelance life. I was never the kid who knew what he wanted to do. I just had a firm conviction that I knew the lifestyle I wanted. I knew where I wanted to live. But I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. So for me, it was just a case of, I had a vision, but I didn't really know how it was going to outwork in a job or a role. And looking back, I'm really grateful for that because it allowed me just to find photography quite organically. It was always just a vision. And the vision was always to live in South Africa, even from a young age, like 12, 13, 14. I was sure this is where I wanted to be. And it didn't really matter what I was doing as long as I could get myself here. So maybe I was working as a chef or as a barista, just getting money, spending money, coming here, losing all my money, going back, earning money, and then I would slowly come here more and more often. And so, I think I kind of just had this vision that felt like it could outlive me, So even those days when maybe things aren't going so well in the present, you still got a lot of hope, right? Because you're living for the vision, and that vision is bigger than you. So for me, that was always really exciting, and I think over time I fell in love with photography. And then really I fell in love with just storytelling. Like storytelling for me was like a way I could create my own reality. And I was so excited that I could pull things together and take concepts and location scout and pull different people in, and I could create the reality that I kind of longed for. And so for me, it was always about the storytelling. And then in the process, just fell in love with photography.
Wow. Very cool. That is the most inspiring answer I've ever heard to the question, how long have you been in photography?
It is interesting. And it's encouraging to hear you say about you had a vision for your life. And I think one thing we want to encourage people all the time is, what is the vision for your life? And we were chatting earlier before the show, and you live in South Africa, but you weren't born there. Talk to us a bit about how you landed in South Africa. Why are you there? And I loved your answer earlier, but I think it's intriguing. Your answer for everybody else. What's it like to live in Cape Town, and how did you get there?
I really need a better answer to this question. I wish I had this like extravagant dream where I just saw myself there and I arrived, but it was just like from when I was so young, this was the dream. So I arrived when I was like, I think it was 2013, for the first time. And it was kind of everything that I kind of wanted it to be at the time. And so it's just, when you've been to Cape Town, you know what it's like. It's such a beautiful place. And it inspires me so much. The people, the culture, the scenery, it's really so beautiful. And like, I've been fortunate, like you guys, to travel to so many places around the world. But like, for me, it sounds so cliche, but I wake up every morning in my little house in Woodstock and I'm like, this is my dream. Like, I'm kind of content with this right now. I'm not that phased about traveling to the other side of the world like I was a couple of years ago. Like I said to you earlier, if I can't travel outside of the continent for a very long time, it doesn't offend me. Like, this is my dream, and I don't feel this like desire to travel all the way to the other side of the world, because there's so much to see right here, and I'm so invested in here and telling stories here because there's so much diversity here.
I think that's really important because, I think, when I was young, I really wanted to live in Australia, and then my wife and I moved there for 6 years, and I could have lived there for the rest of my life. But we moved back to Canada to start a family. But there is something special when you feel a pull to a certain place. And so it's encouraging to hear you say that. It's like so fulfilling for you. Justin in the chat is saying they are very blessed to have you in South Africa. So it's cool to know that that feels like home for you.
It definitely does.
And for those who have never had the opportunity to travel to Cape Town, let us know what's it like. Why should someone come visit? Give us the pitch on why it's such a lovely place.
Okay, the thing with Cape Town is you can be on the mountain in 5 minutes. You can be in the city in 5 minutes. You can be on the beach in 5 minutes. You have such a huge array of cultures, of food, of different people, people from all around the world living here. So it's a super diverse place, but it's also super complex. As a country, I always say, like, I fell in love with Cape Town because of its beauty, but the longer I'm here, the more you realize it's messy here. Like, I love it, it's beautiful, but its history is so complex, and the place itself is messy and confusing sometimes and heartbreaking sometimes. And I think if you say, like, what inspires me the most about living in Cape Town, it actually wouldn't be the people or the beauty or the culture, but it would be this desire I have to change the narrative a little bit, for a new story, because I feel like Cape Town is in desperate need for a change. Like, the way I say things are messy, you can't sit on the fence here. You're either very complicit in the problems, or you're actively fighting for change. Like, there's no middle ground for me, at least. I feel like there's no middle ground. And I find that really inspiring, because it feels like there's some sort of divine purpose behind everything you do. And it feels like you're not just shooting for the sake of shooting, but you can always think, like, how can I use this as a vessel for change?
Wow. That's amazing. And you took some steps, well, several, but there's one in particular I want to talk about, to bring some structure to some of that change and bring some structure to some of that purpose. And that is common culture. Tell us in your own words what common culture is and how it started.
Yeah, it started during lockdown. I think it's ever evolving. But yeah, I just wanted to create something that was separate from me, even just from a business point of view. Like, you can't scale your photography that much, because you can only scale yourself so much. So I really, I have this love for coffee, this passion for coffee. And I started off really wanting to find a way to facilitate training, for barista training, as just a really solid way of getting people who are unemployed trained and then into work. And then I kind of combined that with sort of this online store where I have prints. And so we've done one run already of limited coffee, which I partnered with an amazing roastery in Johannesburg. So we had the prints, and then I have a certain line of prints, as well as the coffee, where all the proceeds will go towards the training. So I partnered with a friend in Kailicha, who owns an amazing cafe called Siki's Coffee Cafe. And with him, we kind of are busy now training people. It's kind of developed a little bit more than the idea I had to begin with, which was purely barista training. Now it's more sort of learning more about small businesses, small business training, customer service, all of those really important skills that are now accessible. I think a lot of people in that area, it's 30 kilometers from the city center. So they don't actually have the funds to get into the city for training. So this was about bringing training closer to them, giving them access to training, which can ultimately lead to jobs. And we have two guys who have already been trained and are now being employed. And then we have a third guy who's kind of sitting ready and waiting for the next lot of funding to come through so that we can also get him trained. So it's like a slow burner, but it's been really exciting for me, and just fun to do something different,
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting to hear how, COVID has kind of pushed you into something for purpose. And it sounds like those things were kind of already in your heart. And so it's great that you're moving forward for it. What are some of the goals that you would say with Common Culture, and how are you hoping to achieve them?
I think the solid goals is just as we build our online presence, as we build the online store, we can just get more money available to fund more training. Siki has himself some really exciting plans to expand the business, and through that, there's a whole lot of opportunity there to get people involved, to train people, to develop skills, and ultimately get them employed. So for me, it's just about building relationships with Siki, who is on the ground, who knows what the people need and what the people want, and then just kind of being able to facilitate that as much as I can through the funding. So yeah, the online store is kind of where it's at for me right now, but it does keep evolving, and I'm not putting too much pressure on it. I'm just allowing it to kind of become what it is.
So how does someone who is a professional photographer end up finding themselves in a spot where they are helping to facilitate job training and a little bit of a cultural shift in a community? It sounds like there's like an economic focus, a business focus. It's actually a pretty big, complex thing to take on. What are the steps between, you being a photographer who, had your work and you're focused on your work, became aware of a cause and are now actively involved in it in a pretty significant way? What are the steps between caring and doing it?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think, like for me, photography is just the medium I use for connection, right? It's just the medium I use for connecting with people. So over the last few years, I've been fortunate enough to find myself in these positions where I'm meeting with the most amazing creatives and entrepreneurs, and it's just seeing where we align. And when you see that you're both walking in the same direction, it's just a simple case of like, how can we help each other? How can we come together, use the things we know, maybe use what is my privilege? What is it that I can bring to this? Maybe I can bring my platform, maybe I can bring my skills as a photographer, or maybe I can just bring my money. Like, what is it you need from me? How can I help you to build your goal? And for me, like, that's what it is. It's just about connections. And yeah, I've been super blessed by the connections I've made, especially in the last 2 years. Those were what kept me sane during those COVID days. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes of the training program, but also what just comes from this expansion of Siki's Cafe, because yeah, I'm rooting for him and supporting him all the way. It's quite exciting to see.
Very
So
cool.
great. What would you say? Obviously, what you're doing, there's lessons that can be learned, that can be transferable or passed on to somebody else that you've done from startup to now, or even in the middle. What would you say that you have learned or are learning that you could encourage or pass on to us from your endeavors?
I think sometimes you come in from the outside and you assume you know what people need or what people want, when you haven't actually asked those people, what do you want? How can I help? You know, like for me, the whole goal was that I would be doing SCA accredited training courses. I would find someone, and if that's like barista course. And that was in my head. I wanted people to have this amazing, very high level barista qualification. And then when I sat down with Siki, he just said, you know, the reality is a lot of people who get into coffee, they don't love coffee, they just need a job. So there's no point in now paying like thousands and thousands of rands to get these people a SCA qualified barista when all they really are looking for is a job. They might not even like coffee. So he said, why not let's just set up a program where they can be learning more about small business. They can be learning to be a barista. And if, for instance, they fall in love with coffee, then great, then maybe we can move them to that course. But for the others, it's better that they just have an understanding of what it is to be within a business space and to actually have an income coming in. So I think sometimes we come in and we think we have all the answers. Like I know someone who started a soup kitchen in a place called Guguletu during lockdown. And a friend of mine who lives there, I asked him, how's the soup kitchen going? And he's like, well, nobody's going because they're serving papan and no one wants that. They have that at home. Like if it was porridge, we would want it. And what happened is people come in with great intentions and they say, this is what we're giving you. Look at how much we're helping you. But they never asked whether these people even wanted pub. So I think communication is so important. Like, let's not come into these situations and think we know exactly what people need and what people want, but rather to have that conversation and say, like, how can we help you in doing what you're already doing, and just work together on the ground like that. So that for me has been like the biggest takeaway from this whole thing.
Wow, that's awesome. Great insight. Like we're clipping that. Oh, where'd we go?
Oh, we're here.
We're here.
We're here.
Oh, I thought I lost everything. My computer just freaked out, and I thought the thing had closed.
No,
I was like, okay, great.
You're open for business.
We heard the most important wisdom, and then Zoom was like, okay, great, you got what you needed.
But I think that is a good point of asking the question, how can we help? I think we do get in our minds about like, I've got the answers, this is what you need. But at the end of the day, asking the question of what do you need sincerely and how can I help? And I think that is a very important question to ask, and you're doing it. And this is a great conversation, by the way, Dan. You are awesome. I want to talk a bit more now. Everyone go check out Dan after this and Common Culture and all that you're doing. I want to talk about now your photography and a little bit of your YouTube work. I perused your YouTube channel earlier. You say no, but I thought it was great. I love the mix of coffee and travel, everything on there. You're very good. But let's talk about your photography. You have a unique style, and I think someone even mentioned in the chat about your storytelling, and it's definitely one of your giftings. How do you get such emotion and everything out of people to translate from image into what we're experiencing? How do you capture that?
I've actually recently, kind of in the last, say, year, I've actually tried as much as possible. It's not always possible with the commercial stuff, but I try to meet models before we shoot. Maybe we go for coffee just to establish some kind of connection. I find it really hard to shoot people who I've never met. So if it is a commercial setting, I will try as best I can to get to know as much about this person as possible before we shoot. I think like with my more like passion projects, I'm able to meet with them first. But even then, like for me, a lot of those passion projects are concepts which I care so much about. So I try as much as possible just to really try and help the model to understand what I'm trying to get out of this shoot. So sometimes I will play them a song on the way to the shoot. I will ask them to read a psalm before, a poem before. I'll ask them to read maybe just a piece of text that I've written, because even if it's not their story, they're an actor in this, right? So I'm really trying to get them to understand the concept and understand my heart behind it. And I think that's helped a lot. That's something I've just started doing in the last year, and I've definitely been seeing the benefits of that. But when it's commercial, it's hard because sometimes you have 5 minutes, you meet them, and all of a sudden you have to find a way of connecting. And I struggle with that a little bit.
Very cool. That's actually something I was like suspecting through the amount of emotion I was seeing in your subject's eyes. I thought, I wonder if these are people Dan is friends with, or if he spends time with, because it really seems like they know each other.
That's cool. That's cool.
But it definitely comes across in your work. And there was a recent series you've been sharing on Instagram from a trip to Ghana. Tell us a little bit about that. I found that set so striking. Talk to us about the Ghana trip and the images you've been sharing.
Yeah. I think you always say it when you get back from a place, but I really do think Ghana is my most favorite place I've ever been. It is just like the culture is amazing. Everything's so vibrant and bright. But what I love is that the people there have sort of, like within our industry, they've really like come into they've taken ownership of their story. I think that's what it is. As Ghanaians, they've taken ownership of their story. They know who they are, they know what they're trying to present to the world. And it's like a really exciting creative space to be. They're getting a lot of amazing brands coming to Ghana now. There's a lot of amazing young fashion designers, which are Ghanaian. And there's a lot of amazing photographers. And so for me, it was so inspiring to be in an environment where people have taken ownership of who they are and what story they're trying to tell. Because then you're just working with them. You're just helping facilitate that story. I'm not coming in and saying, this is the story I'm trying to tell. They're saying, come and partner with us. We love your work. Come and help us tell this story. And it also then it puts you at ease because it makes you feel, I've been invited to this space. This is a story that I think I can help tell. And they're there to correct you if you're doing something wrong. So that was so inspiring for me. And so there's a lot of Ghanaian photographers and producers and stylists that I follow on Instagram. And I've just been so inspired by their work. So yeah, I'm hoping to even try and go back sometime this year if I can.
Very cool.
Justin is asking here in the chat, and I think it's a great question. Do you have a creative process? And if so, what is it like when you are approaching some of this? Do you come up with a mood board? What are you doing before you approach a shoot?
This is definitely not sponsored, but there's a site that I've started to use called Millernote, where you have to pay for it every month, but it's like I go on there and I start different boards. So I'll have different boards and I'll have my concept board. I'll do a mind map and I'll come out with, say, this is the theme. Like, let's look at every possible option of that theme. I'll have boards for locations, for budget, for potential models. And then you can invite people into that board and you can comment. And it's like a really, it's like a creatives Google Docs. And that has helped me so much because you take the idea at its core and you break it down. And when you're working for brands, I think it's so nice for them to be able to see how your mind is working. So I'll often send brands a link to that board, and then they can see how you're taking ideas. Because for me, everything that I love doing is so conceptual. You might see an image and you might think it's just some guy walking down the road, but in my head, there's this huge backstory to why he's there, what he's doing, where he's going, where he's come from, all of that stuff. And I think the more my shoots evolve, the more people I'm trying to pull in so that story can be even bigger. So yeah, I think that process of mapping everything out and really fine tuning the details has been a lifesaver for me.
Right.
Cool. That answers one of the next questions I wanted to ask, which was, it seems like so much of what you create is more than just a beautiful image, but there's a sense of story behind it. So it's very cool to hear that, you do actually have a backstory prepared and thought out. And I love what you mentioned a little bit earlier about your subjects actually being like actors who are telling the story with you. It's a very collaborative approach.
For me, like, there's no art without story. Like, we have like this opportunity or what I feel is like almost like a duty to show the world a new narrative, especially on the continent. But like, I said to someone the other day, you can only have a new narrative if you acknowledge the fact that the current narrative is at best incomplete or at worst built on some sort of taught inferiority. Like for me, art and politics, you can't separate the two. They're so intertwined. So like for me, my greatest hope is that when I'm shooting in South Africa, particularly, that as we document greatness across the country and even across the continent, that the people will learn, or we will learn to love ourselves more and to pursue truth and justice and all the things I care about, and actually just to have a deeper respect for the land in which we live. Like story for me, I mean, art is story, right? So I have a great friend, and he's a documentary photographer based in Ghana. His name is Nana Kofi Akwa, and he wrote an article at the beginning of lockdown, and it was called "The Baggage That Lives with You Forever." And he's talking about the way in which foreigners have told stories across the continent. And even just that title, "The Baggage That Lives with You Forever," right? We're so used to Instagram, and Instagram has made us think that our photos are fleeting and that you take a picture and it's gone because you've scrolled past it. But actually, like, photography is like is stilling the world. It's like pressing pause, and you've captured that moment forever. So I think we have to acknowledge that there's like there's a huge amount of responsibility that comes with taking a photo, especially if you're taking a photo of somebody, and just being really aware of like what story that's telling. Because I think that is our greatest responsibility, is to answer the question, what's the story we are telling the world about where we are, about who we are, and about how we want the world to look, you know? So for me, art and story, you can't separate the two.
Um, what an answer. Like, I mean, I'm sitting here listening to this, and there's no art without story. And I want to ask, I want to dig into that a little bit, because there's a lot of people listening, that are, you talked about Instagram, that are playing this Instagram game. How important is engagement when you're sharing, or is that something that's just, you do not even think about it? It's more about, what's the story I'm telling? Like, talk to creators when they're thinking about that whole social media world, reconciling that with story and art.
I think like all artists have like a desire for their work to be seen. I think if we didn't, then Instagram wouldn't exist, right? So I think that's normal, and I think it's somewhat healthy. But I've definitely noticed that the less I worry about all of that stuff, the more people seem to care. Because I think the more those stories are based on what I actually care about. And I think often like what you care about is also what other people care about. And so I think like the more passionate I become about the change that can come from my art, the better my art itself becomes. Because photography is just the medium, right? So I've told myself that if people don't care about the photography anymore, then I'll find another medium to change the narrative. Like photography is just the tool I'm using. So whether it is the coffee from Common Culture, whether it's the prints or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. So I think as much as we want people to see us and to see our work, I think we've got to remind ourselves that it's similar to kind of what I said at the beginning, like the vision is more important than the role. The vision's bigger than the job. So as long as the vision isn't changing, then it doesn't really matter whether people are loving or not loving the work. I mean, art is supposed to offend and provoke anyway, right? So if people aren't loving it, maybe that means we're doing our job right.
That's so good. I love the way you put that, Dan. That's great.
This is great, by the way.
That's so good.
Very good.
Now, one of the other avenues of engagement that you're pursuing is an exhibition, and it's going to be, I believe, the whole month of August in Cape Town. It's called Beauty from Ashes. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I've never done an exhibition before. It's like COVID permitting, let's see. But it's going to start on the first Thursday of August at a place called The Ladder in Cape Town. And yeah, I'm very excited. It's a concept that started last year, Beauty from Ashes. And it's just based on this idea of, 2020 with COVID and whatnot, I think everyone lost something, dreams died. We lost relatives, we lost loved ones. And it's kind of just a concept that is based on this idea of even from ashes, beauty can come, that life can come, new life can come from what looks like it is barren land. So yeah, I've got like hopefully 1 or 2 more shoots to add to that before we launch. But that is all my head is thinking about right now is the exhibition, because I think there's a lot to pull off. But I'm excited. It's something I've wanted to do for the last couple of years, but it never felt like the right time. So now I think it's a good time.
For those who are in the area in South Africa, how can they support you or get involved with that?
Yeah, so the exhibition will start on the first Thursday of August. I'm not sure what date that is, but it will run through the whole of August. So it's a space on, just off Bree Street called The Ladder. And yeah, it's the whole room will be available to come and see. And I'll probably be telling people the days that I'm going to be there, the times. So if they want to come and chat about the work, they can do so, hopefully. So, but also just stay inside, make sure those COVID numbers are down, otherwise it won't happen at all. So, so they can also help by staying indoors.
Stay home. Yeah.
And is there any way that those of us who are not in the area can be supportive of this exhibition from a distance?
Yeah, I guess through common culture is always the easiest way to support the prints. I think maybe I was thinking about it having a way of on the day of the launch having a bit of a live. So I'm sure on Instagram I'll do a live exhibition so you guys can check it out if you're not able to fly down to Cape Town for it.
Very cool.
We have to stay home. You told us to stay home.
Yeah. Stay home.
We can't wait to come there and be there in person. But hopefully we get through this soon. Dan, it sounds like you are doing just so many awesome things. You have so much on the go through your art, your photography, and hopefully your YouTube. I say you need to keep that. I know
YouTube is gone. YouTube is dead.
Is it dead? Why is it dead? You don't want to do it anymore?
That stuff. I'm so embarrassed by those videos. I have friends who will be like, I just watched that. I'm like, oh, please don't watch anything on YouTube.
You want to do a new series? Why don't you document this whole exhibition? We can follow along. You're over it. Okay, you're over it. Okay, Dan's over it. Okay, so, but you're doing great things. What's next for you? Like, you got the exhibition coming up. What does the next couple years look like for you? What's gonna be on the horizon for you?
Well, I'm not really much of a planner. COVID has taught us there is no planning.
There is no plan.
So I really just want to, I'm so settled here. I feel like this is just where I want to be. I feel like my work is starting to evolve nicely. And so as much sort of travel around the continent as possible, I think. I would love to go to Nigeria soon. I would love to go to Senegal. I would love to go to Mali, explore more up there. But yeah, other than staying on the continent, I think just keep telling stories. Just keep like what I love the most is when I'll be shooting in a beautiful location in Kailicha, which is where Sikis is. It's a settlement 30 km from the city. And I'll have people see photos I've taken there and they'll be like, how is this my home? I've never seen my home look so beautiful in my whole life. And as long as I'm getting feedback like that just keeps me going, because those are the stories that I want to tell. Like I want people to, through these photos, I really want people to take ownership of who they are and where they're from and be like, I'm proud to be from here, because everyone has told these people that where you're from is full of crime, it's full of poverty. And it's not to say that those things don't exist, but it's to introduce this new story and say, like, there's also beauty here. And it's also a really amazing place. And it's somewhere you can be proud of. And so when people from there will look at these photos and be like, that is beautiful. Where is this? I'm like, right, it's your backyard. It's literally around the corner from your house. I think that is what I want to be doing, and as long as I can do that, then I'm happy, and I feel like I still have reason to be doing what I'm doing.
Wow, that is so good. As we come to kind of the end of this interview, we just have a few final questions for you, and there's one that I'm wondering. We didn't actually talk about this one ahead of time, but it's just on my mind, so I want to ask it. It seems like listening and sharing story with the people you work with is a huge part of the way you live. And I'd love to ask if there's a story you can share of a time that you got to know someone or took the time to ask a question, and then found that to be an enriching and beautiful experience for you. I just love some sort of, just either a travel story or someone you met, because I believe there's a wealth of good relationship you've encountered along the way.
Yeah, wow. Can it be from a shoot?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't launched this shoot yet, but there's a really, really great South African jazz musician and singer here. And, people, you guys probably have the same thing. People will often say, let's do a shoot. I'm like, yeah, but a shoot of what? Am I doing all the work here? I've got to come up with everything now. So we actually became good friends. We went for a run, and at the end of the run, he just said to me, let's do a shoot. So I'm like, okay, like, what do you want to do a shoot about? Like almost humoring him, and he just paused, because creatives, they always create a little bit of sense of drama around when they talk, and he just said to me, he wants the shoot to represent his people. He wants it to be about where he's from. It's from the Eastern Cape, and so he said he wants to shoot maybe somewhere like Kailicha or Langa, somewhere which represents his people. And he said in the Bible, there's the story of the Valley of Dry Bones in Ezekiel, and he said that he wants these photos, like he wants his music, to be like breathing life into dry bones. And so we went and we did this shoot, and I've never done it before, but like the last 5 minutes of the shoot, we were shooting in a cave. The sun was setting. I had candles all around him, and I just decided, like, I'm gonna tell everyone to be quiet. Like, the stylist can't come in, the videographer can't do anything. Like, nobody can say anything. There was a whole team of us. I said, I want total silence. Mandisi, do whatever you want. I'm just gonna photograph you. So like the last 5 minutes, as the sun was going, he starts singing. And he's singing this like beautiful song. We're in the middle of this cave with candles everywhere. And it was then that I realized, like, it's actually where we are right now. This is fertile soil. And people have said that nothing's going to come from this place, but us being here is like watering the soil, and like something so beautiful is going to come from this. And so like, it's those moments where people come to me and they're like, I have this idea, and it aligns exactly with what you want to do and who you want to be and the stories you want to tell. And that moment for me is like highlight of my year. Like, I don't think I can top that, because it's the first time in a shoot I've sat down and I've been like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is exactly how it should be. And I haven't had that moment since. So I'm waiting for another shoot like that. Maybe they don't come often. Maybe it's just once in a lifetime, but I'll take it if it is, because that is like, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Wow. Dan, I'm very, very grateful for your perspectives. I'm so grateful that you took the time to share with us today and open up about the way you do your work, the way you view the world, the way you view people. And I'm grateful. I'm inspired. I think I've got some things to think about and ponder as I leave from here. And I'm grateful for that. I think all through the audience, there's actually going to be multiplied impact through this conversation, because the words you've given us today are gifts that will, I think, resonate through all of the communities that are tuning in today. So thank you for being willing to share. And I really just respect and honor the work that you're doing and the person that you are. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Very, very encouraging, challenging answers, definitely perspective shifts in a lot of ways we create. Before you go, we do a thing called hand-me-downs. It's a time where we pass on a piece of information that maybe someone in our world has passed on to us, a mom, a dad, a relative, that's really impacted your life. And do you have a hand-me-down that you would like to pass on to our community, somewhat of a piece of wisdom for us?
I think a photographer friend of mine said to me last year, he said, some stories are not your story to tell. And I think for me that was actually really freeing, because it reminded me that there are some things you're graced for and there's some things you're not. And it's not a case of like stay in your lane, but it's a case of there are certain things, certain rooms I've been invited into even by people, especially as I said, South Africa, like it's very complex here in terms of cultures and history. And there's some places I've been invited into, but I've known that as much as I would love to do this, this is not my place. It's not my place. So I think it's about becoming like a learner again, becoming a foreigner again, and just saying like, it's not my place to tell this story. And as a photographer, sometimes like that's quite restricting, but I found it really freeing, because I've just understood that there are some things which it's not my place to tell that story, and someone else can do it so much better than I can. So I think that would be the best piece of advice I've been given.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that.
Dan's just dropping all the nuggets today. I am just like, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
This is very good. A lot to walk away with.
I feel like I'm in my living room with you guys.
That's awesome. That's a good feeling. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Having Zach's nachos.
There we go. Yeah, Dan, if you ever come visit, we'll make some nachos.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
No chicken. I'll pass on the chicken.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Good deal. Well, Dan, we appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your world today. And I really believe that this will be one of those conversations that outlives itself in many ways. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. And everyone stick around for the win of the week and for the winner of the mystery box. But once again, can we put our hands together wherever you are? Cheer, throw your love in the chat room, and thank Dan. Don't leave just yet, everybody, because we've got a lot to do for the end of this episode. So everyone's saying thank you, Dan. Zach, that was incredible. I'm not going to lie, probably one of my favorite interviews we've done so far. Dan, he brought the heat. You know?
Absolutely. Oh, he's the kind of guy you could just talk to for hours and hours. I know I've said that after a few of these interviews, actually, and a number of our guests have been people that, like, it's just such an enjoyable conversation that I almost forget I'm hosting something. Like Dan said, it just feels like we're in a living room. It's like a dinner table conversation.
That was a great chat, and I can't wait to meet Dan in person and do more with him once this whole COVID thing settles down.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to share some wins of the week. So, those of you who are in the chat, start typing up some things that you're grateful for, you're thankful for, you're proud of, things that have been good and life-giving and light in the darkness kind of stuff going on in your world, so that we can share it. One, so that you can be seen and heard, and another, so that other people can kind of celebrate and get the benefit of the goodness that's going on all around us, because there is lots of good news.
There is lots of good news. And so we're going to start with the wins of the week. So everyone throw them in there. We're going to read them out loud. And then Zach, you're going to unveil the winner and the exciting prize in the mystery box. And Zach, of course, I want to hear your win of the week. So what would you say your win of the week is?
Man, my win of
besides adding to the forestry of your set.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know. I guess because it's kind of on the same topic, I made a shelf in my room and then picked up a few new plants and put them on the shelf. So I got a little shelf above my bed now that has a bunch of plants. So I'm trying to slowly get the jungle thing going on kind of in each of the spaces. So I got the office going, I got the studio going, and slowly but surely the room is coming along to be a peaceful place too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have, I'm a coffee connoisseur.
Yeah, you are.
Well, I don't know. I just drink whatever's in front of me, to be honest. But I am doing this little kit from our friends at Revolver called.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I've lost my train of thought. But basically, it's a coffee each day in a pack, and you take and journal it and find out the notes and all that stuff if you like it. And I just make coffee in the machine. I just put it in the beans and the water, whatever that is, the brew drip. Yeah. Anyway, producer John taught me how to make a pour over yesterday or 2 days ago. So yesterday I did it without producer John. I did it on my own 2 feet and made my own pour over.
That's awesome. Good. Is this like a publicly available thing through Revolver, or did you just get this hooked up from Terry?
Terry hooked it up, but it is publicly available because what they're going to be doing is and maybe producer John can tell me the name of it again. Coffee Chronicles. And check our friends out at revolver.com. But basically it's a kit that you get. And Terry's vision is that people would do this as a group of people over 24 days, whether it be on Zoom, whether it be on Clubhouse, whether it be in person, where you each make your coffee, taste it, talk about the notes, and then like a book club, but a coffee club.
So cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So producer John and I have been doing it, and I'm on day 3. He's already almost done his thing. But anyway, that was my win of the week.
I love that. Yeah. Revolver continues to find new ways to like push the envelope to be just like an excellent presence. And if you're in the Vancouver area, check out Revolver. John's linked it. So that's great. We got a couple of wins of the week coming in. Brett says headshots of a friend for her new data analytics startup. Pumped. That's awesome. You got to do photos. They get to have a new business. Everybody wins. Love to see it.
Win of the week for Justin saying finishing the edits from a wedding shoot. And I love people are abbreviating win of the week in the chat room. And I think that's
WOTW, baby.
They're taking over. I love it.
Taking over. Win of the week. This is from Chloe. Got out to the mountains and tried some new things like whitewater rafting this week. That's amazing. Whitewater is so fun.
I want to know how that is, because I think I would be afraid of dying in that. But
I think you would be, Scott. I actually just imagined it in my head, and you screamed and peed
in the raft, which is terrible for the other people around. But Chloe's alive because I did see her in person, so she survived.
Great, amazing.
Someone else says they got accepted for their semester abroad in Bordeaux.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting. Wow. Bordeaux.
That's Elisa. I wonder if that's the same Elisa who makes music. There was someone who was in the audience of one of these, and then their win of the week was that they had written a new song, and then they sent it to me afterwards, and it was absolutely beautiful. So I think that might be the same person.
Right.
John, I got myself a bit more organized this past week and picked up a smoothie blender and eating breakfast more consistently.
Whoa.
That's great.
That's great. Those smoothie, I got a Vitamix. Those things will change your life. And someone here, Pardeep is saying that he finally got back into reading and crushed through a book available by Madison Perry. Such a good read. Cool. That is awesome. I always love hearing about a good book.
Yeah, reading's one of those things that's like sometimes the habit can be tough to get into, but I know, at least for me personally, every time I kind of break through the seal, I end up being so glad I did.
You love to read, hey.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. These are great win of the weeks. I don't know if watching that game is a win of the week for you. I think that's a loss of the week.
Yeah, the boxing match. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, it was okay.
Anyway,
it was entertaining.
It was, and the chickens at the end of the day were fed. So someone won.
Yeah, it was what was advertised. No one was expecting a professional boxing match. We were expecting entertainment. We were entertained. No complaints. The chickens win of the week because they got to eat a bunch of nachos.
Exactly.
Everybody wins.
So they won. Well, that is great. Everyone keep going. It is great. You know what? I believe that we should celebrate the small wins. Remember that movie, What About Bob? Did you see What About Bob?
No.
Probably not, because it was when you probably weren't born. But if you watch What About Bob, it was all about this thing he learned, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. You should actually watch it. And so I believe in win of the week because it's all about baby steps and moving towards your goals. And life is to be celebrated, whether it's big or small achievements. And that's what win of the week is about. All right, mystery box, you have got it. And I know you're going to also unveil the winner to us. I think that they've delivered the results to you.
Yeah, no, I just got an envelope handed to me. I don't know if you guys saw it because I accepted it rather sneakily.
The sleight of hand you've been working on is very good.
Yeah, I know. I've been taking magic classes. That was my other one of the week. Chris Angel's master class has been key for me.
You're doing great.
Yeah, let me open this envelope.
Wow, it even made a noise when you opened it.
Oh, that was just my mouth.
That's your ventriloquism too.
Yeah, don't tell me there's anything I can't do. The winner of our mystery box is Justin Govinder. Congratulations, Justin. Thank you for being so engaged and for helping shape the show today. We had a couple of your questions asked live to Dan, and we've seen you a bunch in the chat. So we really appreciate that. And what your prize is inside the mystery box is, drum roll, please. Somebody roll a drum. Great. Oh, that's what we need on the soundboard. Hey, a little drum roll.
Sound like a drum, but
yeah. Oh yeah, you're drumming on something over there. Yeah, Justin, you win a print from Dan. So we're going to hook that up from you. We're going to get one of Dan's prints. We'll find out which one you want because there's a lot of sweet choices. And then we will get that sent over to you. So I think this is a great day. Justin just got a new win of the week.
Producer John is going to be in contact with you and we will work that out with you. We want to thank Dan for hooking that up, and Dan, once again, for being such a great guest. I have a lot to think about. I was just thinking real quick before we go, they're bringing Canada's Got Talent to Canada with Simon Cowell. And I think that you should audition with your magic skills. I think you could be on the show, or your ventriloquism.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. You could be the next Canadian's Got Talent star.
I'm going to get a puppet to do illusions. I think people will love it.
I'm really looking forward to that. Anyway, what a great show. What a great day. And I can't wait for people to follow this. Hey, everyone, if you like what you're seeing on the Socality show, click like and subscribe so we can keep bringing this great content to you. And you can also listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yeah, and stay tuned because we're going to have some clips. There were a couple segments of things Dan said that I know that as I was listening, I'm like, man, I want all my friends to hear this. So we're going to have some clips on IGTV and on YouTube that are just kind of like topical little cuts. And so keep your eye out for those. If there was something from this conversation that resonated with you that you want to pass on to your community, we will make that opportunity available for you to pass it on if that's something you're interested in. I know I'm going to be looking forward to that.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining the show. And thanks, Zach. And thanks to our guest, Dan. Everyone have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Much love, guys. See you around.